Alright, y'all. I do want to see what the guys say about James Harden's debut. Not gonna watch all this, obviously, just a little bit.
I saw he's still a good basketball
Obviously,
player. He's a great
lost.
basketball player. He picked his spots. He was
tough.
unselfish.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I think they were rolling without him, but
unit. We saw the pass
maybe
early on
to get to the goal, they kind of need him. So I just don't know about James and Russ.
He's gonna be a guy that can help this team
they have
offensively, no question about it.
Offensively, not
Ty Lue said after the game he's going to have to do things and tweak the lineups. He tweaked the lineups 1,000 times before this game. He's going to wait 10 days and kind of see how it plays out before he has to make any more tweaks and adjustments. But you can see how it could work, especially when he rotates in with that second unit. With the first unit, you can see them running a pick and roll, Russ sliding to the corner, you know, a shot that he has hit pretty consistently throughout his career. But again, the defensive side is where I'm concerned for this team.
I think James did a great job last night, Skip. Yep. There was a lot of questions about who's going to bring the ball up the court, when they get into a half-court set, what's going to happen, how are they going to rotate everybody around. He certainly, you know, showed me for a guy who's been basically chilling over the last month or so.
He has been.
And now all of a sudden he's inserted into a lineup and he gives you 17. He shot the ball particularly well, in my opinion. We saw his trademark step back a couple times there, knocking him down. So I'm fine with it. I'm not worried about where they're going to end up. I thought personally, though, they would have beat the Knicks, but Kawhi didn't play all that great, and neither did Paul George. Paul George obviously didn't shoot the ball particularly well. And so once this chemistry, it's all new, right? It's just like when you land somebody in a spot, you don't expect for them to just take right off, because people got their toes in the water. They're trying to get a feel for the temperature of what's going on. And you would think in basketball, you could just play iso ball and you could go. Well, that's not what they were doing. They were trying to figure things out. You saw James Harden on a number of opportunities try to get the ball to the big and Zubac in the paint, whether it was a bounce pass, whether it was behind the back pass, whatever it was to get others involved. So talk to me in 15 games. Talk to me in 15 games. Let's get close to Christmas and let's have a conversation about what we think the Clippers could potentially be with James Harden on the floor. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with the 17, 6 and 9 from the floor. I'm happy with that.
Okay, what I saw was a basketball player who is gifted beyond gifted, because I do honor him in this way. I'm not a big James Harden fan, but if you step back from what he pulled off last night, to have no camp at all, to recently have joined the Clippers with no game shaping going on at all. You have not played any basketball, any preseason basketball. To step on the floor against a hard-playing, tough defensive Knicks team at the Garden, on full display, where the NBA world is actually it's James versus LeBron last night, because their games were played simultaneously. And I got to tell you, for the first time in all my years of carefully watching LeBron games since 2004 on national TV, I was more fixated on the Harden game, just because of the curiosity factor. What will it look like? What will he look like? Did he look like he was in game shape? No, he looked a little out of shape, a little paunchy, but that'll go away quickly as he starts to play minutes. But talking about minutes, he played 31 minutes. How do you do that? How do you just sort of roll out of bed and play 31 minutes?
He's not rolling out of bed, though, Skip. He is doing basketball acclimated things.
No,
we just don't.
But there's
we
nothing
don't
like
see it.
Basketball games.
No, I understand. But he's doing enough to play those 30-plus minutes.
But I thought he might play 20-ish minutes. But no, there was no pitch count. He played 31 minutes. He played the most minutes in the fourth quarter of any Clipper. So down the stretch, Ty Lue is riding James, saying, let's try to get this thing home. And by the way, they were up 4 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, at which point they got outscored to the close 49-31. So they pretty much got blown off the floor from late third all the way through the fourth quarter, which they lost pretty miserably. It was 35-21 in the fourth quarter.
As you know, Skip, certain cities, certain towns, just when you go there, it's always a mystery. When you go to New York or Miami or come to LA, it's just always a mystery with teams.
Well, okay, I know what you're suggesting, and especially with James and his history, but the point was...
a mystery.
Yeah, it's a mystery, but the point was he picks his spots to turn it on and turn it off, and last night he was turning it on his best behavior. He wanted to show everybody, this is what I can be with this team. I'll show you how I fit in, because his usage rate of the 4-star starters was the lowest. So he did not demand the basketball. He did not hog the basketball. He wasn't ball dominant last night. Everybody else had the ball longer than James did, but you guys both spoke of a couple of early passes that he made. If I could show you quickly those two plays that you were talking about. The first one was to Zubats, I believe, that was said after the word that Ty Lue used. Well, we talked about it at the end of the show yesterday. Ty had said going into the game, when James and Russ are on the floor, I want Russ at point guard and James off the ball. Well, to me, in the end, he just showed you in little bits and pieces. James is a far better passer than Russ. To me, he's just a more gifted passer. He's a more deft passer.
He is a more gifted passer, more of a natural point guard, where Russ is more of a scoring point guard. There's nothing wrong with that, but you talk about his usage rate. You have to give him compliments for that being down, because everybody else was getting involved. And that, if you go back and you think about when they first acquired James Harden, what did Ty Lue say, Skip? He said, hey, this is the type of guy that we need. We are looking for. They need somebody who is a facilitator out on the floor to get everybody involved. And again, talk to me in early December, and we can have a different conversation about what type of team this is going to eventually be.
Go, Richard.
But like you said, at the end of the game, you saw Russ slide into the corner. You saw consistent sets from him. You saw the pick and roll, obviously. But again, when it comes down the stretch, like you said, Keyshawn, give them 15 games. I think they'll figure it out. These are 4 high IQ, really talented basketball players. James Harden can facilitate, but he can also drop 35, 40 if he needs to. Which makes him a harder guy to defend sometimes, because he can step back and shoot it. He creates great separation. But defensively, when you run into Phoenix, when you run into Golden State, when you run into Denver, defensively is where I'm concerned. You know, I'm not concerned in the regular season, them coming together and figuring it out. They're great players. Kawhi's a great player. Paul George, Russell, James, they're all great players. So they're going to play great, especially offensively. But defensively is what's going to make the difference in the playoffs. And that's the part where I'm wondering what that's going to look like for James consistently, week in and week out, play in and play out.
All right, man, I think I'm going to keep it up here.
You know, James is the